All right, and Mary, would you give me an accurate time?
It is 5:32.
All right, so this meeting is called to order at 5:32 p.m. of the West Tawakoni Economic Development Corporation.
Sound was working. It didn't look like the sound was working.
All right, and present, we have myself, Mary, Rhett, Larry, and Casey. Kathy O'Neill is going to miss because she has an ill husband who has the flu, and none of us want to get the flu, so we appreciate her letting us know. And then Cindy may be on her way. We don't know because we've got the construction going on 276.
Yeah, they were pretty bad up there for a while. I don't know how it is now, right now. He had a hard time getting through.
It was a little slow.
So they may,
It goes slow.
she may come in just a little bit. So are we ready for the invocation?
Yeah.
All right, so if everyone will please rise. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for everything you have given us and everything that you're doing for our families, our community, our country, and our city itself. Please continue to show favor on us and to protect us in all ways. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, we're going to start with announcements, and the actual first announcement we're going to do is not on the agenda. Happy birthday, Larry.
Thank
A
you.
birthday card from all of us. We, as I was saying before the cameras were rolling, we appreciate all the years of service that you have done for our city
Thank
and
you.
for Hunt County.
Thank you very much. Pretty nice, huh?
How old are you, Larry? What year?
He's 90.
It is 90.
It's amazing.
It is 90. Okay.
All right. Next announcement, the Tawakoni Area Public Library with Workforce Solutions will be holding the jobs training program on January 27th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the library. And just so that the EDC board is aware, the library has also said if there's anything that we would like to do at the library itself, if we need any hours outside of regular library hours to do something, or for any kind of projects that we're doing, they are totally willing to work with us and to let that happen. And they will make it possible for us. Okay. The next announcement is that Chums on the Water Fishing Guide Service is our January business of the month. Casey is the owner of that, so we're very glad to be able to put that out. I'm going to give you a little apology just because it was the holidays. I didn't get that posted until the Sunday. And then today, Mary, I think, did a great job. I don't know if you saw it on the city's website.
No, I haven't seen that.
Mary did a great job taking other pictures and putting it together and posting that on the city website.
The 3 or 4 fish we caught so far this year. So thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
The Lake Tawakoni Regional Chamber Luncheon is January 15th, and this month is being hosted by Exit Realty Kathy Hobbs, and it'll be at 11:45 at the Chamber Building. And then, as y'all know, the officers positions that we had here on the board have remained the same following our December meeting. And we'll continue our roles, taking position today of continuing those roles. Are there any other announcements that anyone has? Brett?
Nope.
Any announcements?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. So the only other announcement that I want to give to the board, just to make sure that everybody is kind of aware, we held a luncheon. I say we. The people who are looking at bringing in the hotel requested a meeting with me. So I put together a luncheon for them with all of the city staff with the other developers of the area, the region right in front of the golf course. So James, Rory, Samir, and the New Jersey hotel individuals came in. Our mayor was present. We had, I think, a very excellent luncheon. So it was the first time that all the developers were in the same room with all the people from the city, and they were able to talk about openly what needs to happen next. There will be water drainage that's put in over there that those developers now have a study for, and they're going to be putting in the proper water drainage. They're working on getting the pavement done for the road. And the hotel developers themselves are looking, they have to now go out and get the loans to be able to do it. And they're looking at approximately $8 million is what's going to go into the investment for the hotel. And that's just outside of the gas station, the small restaurant, and the other buildings that are going to be put on that side.
Very good.
So that was good. And I got to give a shout out for our new mayor, Chris Burkett. He did a wonderful job with all the people that were present. And then we hosted and took them out to Texas Roadhouse for dinner. And again, just did a wonderful job. So the New Jersey hotel developers are excited about coming here. They're excited about our city. And the word on the street is that the city of West Tawakoni has given them the best welcome of any city that they have dealt with so far.
Wow,
So,
that's wonderful. That's great.
all right. So we'll go on to number 4, citizens input. No one's here, so there's no input. So it'll be down as none. And then we'll move on to the consent agenda. The approval of the EDC minutes from December 1st, the bank statement for December 2025, and the approval of bills paid and to be paid. So unfortunately, I got a little overzealous with my stapler. Your agenda is stapled to the minutes. So the agenda is only 2 pages. So if you go to page 3, those are the minutes that Sylvia Lee took. And, you know, again, these are the last minutes that she has done for us, and she's now retired. She wanted to let everybody know that she appreciated the time she was here and enjoyed working with the board.
Did we take an official roll call?
It is an official roll call when I listed the people who were
Okay.
present.
Okay, I did hear you mention that, but like, I don't remember me saying present, so I was like, okay.
Yep.
Making sure I take my minutes right.
And you're on camera, so everybody sees that you're here. And so one of the things that I did with Brett, since he's the one who's taking the official minutes today, and we're going to rotate this, is I sent him a copy. He's got a copy of the agenda, as everyone does, and a copy of the minutes, so you kind of know the order of how to put that in there in a
And
good
how
way.
the minutes changed from what the agenda was and what was copy and pasted, which works very good for me.
Makes it very easy rather than trying to sit down and type it all on your own. And on the other boards that I participate on, the minutes are pretty easy as long as you don't go overboard. You don't have to put a lot of detail necessarily in them. We have YouTube videos that record what happens in the meetings. On our bank statement, you can see that we ended with a balance this year on December 31st of $172,125.95. I really truly appreciate that Mary and the city are putting every month the money that comes in from the sales tax dollars. It makes it really easy to be able to see on our bank statements that the money's coming in and the bills we're paying are going out on a very consistent basis.
A question on money in. we discussed a few meetings back about possibly having some year-to-date side-by-sides on the balance sheet. And I think that'll help us understand if we're gaining traction with the, our, go get our, I can't remember the name of the program that was set up, but bring back our bucks,
Mhm.
right? So if we have something to compare to and we say, hey, we know, Q1 24 or 25, we brought in this much money through sales tax. 26, we're seeing improvement, which means that either one, the economy is getting better in the city, people are spending money to generate sales tax dollars, or two, to bring back the bucks is the subtle changes where people are maybe making that shift online for us to drive more sales tax. But if we don't have comparables, then we don't know what to gauge off of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can definitely look at it and see what's going to be the biggest, and I don't want to say struggle, but it's going to be the hardest thing to look at is that with our new system, I can pull a report that's going to look like this
Mhm.
for 25, 26, 24, 25. I think I can get 23, 24, but anything prior to that's going to be QuickBooks, so it's going to have to be more of like, hey, let me just tell you where we're at and then compare it with these others. But I can have that for our next meeting so we can kind of see.
Yeah, I think at least a 2-year comparison to see if we're gaining traction and if our sales tax revenue is increasing or decreasing, which would be a red flag, obviously. But if we don't have that comparable, then we don't know how we're trending.
So if we did 23, 24,
Yeah.
that would give us the best comparison between where we were 2 years ago and what's happening now
Right.
and what's coming in.
Yes, I can do that. I was going to try to pull it up, but it's going to take a minute.
Okay. Well, if you'll do that just for the next meeting, and that way it makes it pretty easy because you can just print it out like this, and I'll include it in the packet so we have a direct comparison between the 2 months, the 2 years.
That's great.
You do two full yearlies.
I'll do 23, 24, and 24, 25.
What exactly are we looking for?
We're going to look to see if our sales tax revenue has increased.
And Mary, I'd ask for one more thing. Sure. It doesn't need to be an ongoing, but a beginning of year balance for 25 for bank statement. We know what beginning of 26 is going to be, or end of 25.
Okay, so beginning of fiscal year or beginning of calendar year?
Beginning of calendar year.
Okay.
Okay. And so we have that. You weren't on the board yet at that time in January. But if you want, Mary, decide if that's an easy thing for you to pull out, or I can go back to the January and pull that out.
Yeah, if it's in the minutes, we can find it.
Yeah.
But that would give us a gauge of, are we increasing in money in the
No, I
bank?
can,
Spending
that
it
could be pulled.
All right. So in terms of bills paid and to be paid, we have our standard bills. We've got the electricity on the EDC building. We've got the $500 to the Attorney Lee. I paid, as you know, from last month, I paid Sylvia's 2 months of secretarial services. So I'm being reimbursed that $200. And then we have the additional charge of the surveying for the land that we're purchasing to be able to place a sign, and that was $675. So the survey is done. Mary and I went out and met with the survey company. Key West Tawakoni Beautiful was there, and Dwayne Hall was there, and so we've got that done. Now we're waiting on the contract to come in from Lee as she writes that up for us to be able to make the official purchase. And there were no other expenditures. So that's good. All right. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve the EDC minutes for December 2025, the bank statement for December 2025, and approval of the bills paid and to be paid.
I'll make it a motion to approve the bank statement, the financial statement, and the minutes.
And I second that motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 5-0, passes unanimously. Next is to discuss or take action on the profit loss statements for December 2025. Were there any surprising changes in this? Anything different that we need to know about?
Nope, nothing out of the ordinary. Everything's usual. What's coming in, what you're seeing on the bank statement, what's going out, also seeing that on the bank statement. I did have a question.
Mhm.
why is this not on our consent agenda? Or could it be? It's always, I mean, it's always been a separate item that I've ever seen. But if it's still a standard every month practice, we not put it on our consent agenda?
I mean, I would love for it to be on the consent agenda. What do you guys think? Because we actually are, if we're going to be, real technical about it, we're actually talking about this when we're talking about the consent agenda.
Don't feel like it.
Sounds like a fair move.
All right, well, I would make a motion that we put the profit loss statements on the consent agenda.
Second the motion.
That might make the agenda minutes a little easier.
All in favor?
Aye.
Catch up on that. What was that?
So I made a motion that we're going to put the profit loss statements onto the consent agenda in meetings
Okay.
from this point going forward. And then I'm going to make a separate motion now to accept the profit loss statement for December 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, awesome.
So try to make life a little easier.
I'm always for that. All right, number 8, discuss and or take action on the park improvement grant program. All right, so each of you received in an email a copy of the park improvement grant program. We had approved back in November a park grant program that matched the identical language for our facade grant programs and our parking lot grant programs. I presented that to City Council, and Casey, you were present when I was here at City Council, and Council Member Greg Sprinkle came back and asked for us to change it slightly and to make it a matching grant program. And the other council members voted for that to be done and to change it to that, and to put some of the wording and the accountability into the actual language of the program so that it would match a couple of things. First, it matches a performance agreement that the state requires for the EDC to have, where there's a clawback clause, which means that if we give you X dollars to do this, and you don't do it with X dollars, then you must pay the EDC back that money. So I had a meeting with Greg Sprinkle and Ramsey Lindsay and looked at what they were doing. They presented to me some of the things that they're looking at doing in the park and trying to find some way for City Council and some changes on the park program to help with improving things in the park, including the playground, redoing the entranceway so that they put crepe myrtles down the entrance. They want to put some vases that'll hold some flowering kind of purple bushes. They want to redo the basketball court, include a pickleball court in that, get professional goals there. And so they've got a lot of things that they would like to do in the park. One of the things that has to happen, as we've talked about, is that the park is owned by the city, not by the EDC. So we have all kind of talked about for the last few months when we've been meeting in here, our willingness to help with doing things in the park, but our concern that we want to make sure that we're not doing the improvements and the work in the park. It needs to be the city doing it. And then the city, if they want some assistance from the EDC, because by law we're allowed to do that, coming to us and making a request from us that we then respond to.
Definitely.
And when I went back and I looked at some of the expenditures in the park that the EDC had done, particularly in 2023, there was an $8,000 expenditure to repair the bathrooms. And then in 2024, there was $1,800 set aside to repair the doors on the bathrooms that we then funded at the beginning of 2025. It was budgeted for and had already been passed. So you're looking at a lot of money EDC has given. And then we have spent a couple of months talking about the two pavilions that need to have their roofs repaired. And we've got estimates from, two developers, David Phillips and John English, that they will go in and repair those roofs and change them to make them match the other pavilion. And we've been, just as a repeat of history here, we've been, I think, correctly cautious about not stepping in and making those improvements on our own, because again, it's the city park, it's not our park. So the park grant program sets up kind of a standard for how the city then can come to us and ask for assistance. And the things that they requested were put in here in terms of when you go to the standards on section 9. One of the things that I added was the monetary amount awarded will require that the city of West Tawakoni have provided or intends to provide matching funds equal to or exceeding the amount requested from the EDC, such that the city is showing a good faith financial investment in the development, repairs, improvement being planned. Then the next was that the city of West Tawakoni has approved a budget for the existing fiscal year, that the city comes and asks for money, that has a minimum of $10,000 designated for maintenance of the city park. And at least one city staff member has been officially designated as being responsible for overseeing and managing the maintenance of the entirety of the city park. So one of the things that happened, which is just fabulous about how this city works, when I went before city council and I presented, the first park improvement grant program, and they wanted us to revise it slightly, the city also stepped in immediately and made changes in the park. So I had, mentioned something about security cameras. They immediately got security cameras over there. They immediately had the police department start a process of locking the gates at night when people are there and doing more patrols. So it's very nice being in a small city where you can simply say, hey, I think this is a concern. And people like Mary and the mayor and everyone kind of jump in and make that happen. This document just kind of makes it a little bit more on the official side, that when they're coming to us for money and for grants, that it's kind of set now in writing that these things need to kind of be maintained. And then that way, when you get new city council in, 2 to 4 years, you got a whole new group of people who are running, you got a new mayor, there's now a document. Mary's going to be there here hopefully forever, and she'll be able to say, here's our contract. So if you want the EDC to help you $5,000 or $10,000 in doing these things, we have to do this. And if they come to us, the amount that we're willing to approve will be based on our budget, the project they want to be doing, and our vote and our decision at that time. So there's no guarantee that we necessarily are going to agree to give it any money for what's being asked for. But there is a guarantee that if you ask for it and you give it legally now and you sign this application, just like any other business, if you don't do it in 12 months, you have to give us back that money. And there's a $20 penalty that starts on the 13th month, the first of each month. You'll pay us an additional $20 each month until that is fully repaid. And the reason I thought $20 would be a good idea rather than doing a percentage of like what we get from our CDs or from our bank interest rate is it's much higher than what we get on interest, and it's just a clear dollar amount. We gave you $5,000. You didn't spend it. You didn't use it. It's been a year. You give us back the $5,000, and starting on that very next first of that month is a $20 penalty every month until we're repaid.
I think that covers it well if they don't do the project. We'd also discussed a clawback if they don't maintain the improvements. And I think it's important to add some language in there that covers that, because
If they do
using the
something,
bathroom.
they have to maintain it.
right, the bathroom, for instance, we spent the money, it didn't get properly maintained, so we had to spend the money again. So I think in the clawback, maybe something that covers us a bit deeper on a time period. If,
Well, that'll be in the actual performance agreement.
okay,
That's separate from the grant program. So again, a little bit different from the others. They have to do the same thing every other business does. They've got to provide us with 10 copies of what they're doing, a copy of all the engineering plans, a copy of the costs, the things that they have paid for and whatever it is they're planning on doing. And then they have to give a detailed description of the project that they're doing. And there is a maintenance clause in here about what they have to do depending on the project. So we don't want to put, I don't think, in the actual, this application, what that maintenance is. So for example, if they wanted to turn around and do a new, whatever, something added to the boat ramp, and they want to add something down to the boat ramp, we can't anticipate initially if we want to have cameras there or what we want them to do to maintain it. We've got a lot of great places for tent camping down there. But if you don't have somebody clean up the brush, for example, clean those tent camping areas out, have a place where somebody can do a small campfire in the tent camping, then tent camping really can't occur efficiently. So each one of those will be separate. So we hear each one individually and then be able to tell them exactly what we want them to do to maintain it.
so
At
each
that
individual time we give a grant, we create a performance clause
Yes.
based on that particular money spent.
Yes.
And then I guess the only other thing I saw was the amount of, I think the day I said it on the council meeting, they figured around $70,000 is what the city potentially through rental income. The number I heard anyways.
That is the number one of the council members gave. The reality is that there's not that amount of money available.
Okay.
It's much smaller than that. There's only a certain part of the occupancy tax that can be used. And a lot of that has to do with the laws related to bringing in people who are then going to turn around and rent like a hotel room and a place to stay. And one of the difficulties we have right now is we really don't have a hotel other than the Wagon Wheel for people to come in and to stay. So we'll have more, they will have more access. I shouldn't say we, because it's not the EDC. The city will have more access to some of that money once an actual hotel is built where people will want to come and stay. Then that frees up more of the percentage of that money to be able to do things in the park that bring people in. Right now, when you have a group of people come in, like what happened with the 4th of July celebration back in July that the Travers put on, I think it was the most wonderful thing ever. And you had all these businesses and people come in, and the majority of them had to stay in hotels in Greenville and come down and then participate. So what that did is that occupancy taxes went to the city of Greenville and not to the city of West Tawakoni because there was no place to stay. Once we have a hotel where people will stay, then when you have an event like that, you'll have that hotel fill up, which will increase the occupancy tax incredibly, which will free up even more money to continue to invest in the park.
So typically, I'm going to switch hats or gears or however you want to call it. The general fund is what funds the park. Roughly, when we did our budget, it was around $10,000 that general fund could afford to do for maintenance on the park, improvements on the park, utilities for the park, things of that nature. I mean, we were hoping, and when we obviously still hoping, that we would get some income on rentals, pavilions, events, things of that nature to help boost that money to where we could then turn around and spend it. We've not received a ton of money in regards, so we are actually less than that 10,000, which is what I was going to ask about is this written as a minimum of 10,000 as a whole for the park, or is it written as it just for maintenance of the park?
There's no amount in here. So there's
right here, where it says a minimum of 10,000. That's where I was trying to make
Oh,
sure.
that the city has a minimum of 10,000 in the budgeted for the year,
For the whole park as a
for the
whole.
whole park
Okay,
as a
that's
whole.
what I just want to make sure that we
So-
weren't already starting up for the negative number there.
And you're not. So one of the things that was raised to me as a concern was when you get a new council in, if that council does not put any money in the actual budget designated for the park, let's say in 4 years you have new council members and a new mayor, and they go, oh, we don't care about the park. The people who elected us really don't care that much, and they don't put anything in the budget for the park. If there's nothing in the budget for the park, city can't come to the EDC for any help with anything in the park. If the city wants help from the EDC financially, then the city needs to have something put in the budget year, which is October to October, for maintenance in the park. Now, my understanding is the city has always done that. So there's always been money in there budgeted for the park, but this is just a stopgap guarantee that continuing into the future, city council understands you need to have money budgeted for the park.
So if we're aligning with the lower budget, it makes a lot more sense to do a one-to-one. The numbers I had recalled, a one-to-one sounded unreasonable, and that's where a tier came into play. But yeah, if the city has a budget of roughly, 10,000 all in, it would be nice to be able to match that one-to-one to get the most benefit out of it if we have the money in the budget and agree to the improvements.
One of the things I wanted to just ask is, I brought a bunch of people that came into West Tawakoni, came into Quinlan to see the area. And they're coming from Dallas the other day. So I took them down through the park. When I got to the park, I was going to bring them out to the point.
Mhm.
When I got out there, they had the point blocked off now. With,
Okay.
yeah, what, are they going to redo it or
With the
fix it?
gate?
Or something, because I was trying to show everything that we had, that they can have their kids too, and the different things they can do, and the playgrounds. And, some people don't have backyards and so on like this. And West Tawakoni maintains and takes care of all this and passes it on to the people that are coming in. I'm sorry.
No, was the gate closed?
No. Well,
He's talking about the telephone poles.
I went down the whole way.
Oh, okay.
I went down,
I got that.
I went down the, did you see it? You see how it's blocked?
Yeah, I
off?
go to the park every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're talking about the telephone poles they laid across on the backside.
Right.
Or can't get
Oh,
down to the
Yeah, because
water.
I was trying to point out to
They're
them.
just trying to protect cars
Yeah.
from going down to the water, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Because it's being washed out.
yeah, okay.
And it
'Cause
got
I-
real muddy one time, and
Yeah,
it was. a
It's so
mess.
pretty when you stand out there
Yes, it
on
is.
the bank
Mhm.
and you look out. I say, look at the wonderful sights that you have,
Yeah.
the picnic areas. And so
Yeah,
on.
that's there just for the safety of for the cars.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I
They just need
wanted,
to get more rock out of that area right there, because it turned into a great big giant soup
yeah,
pile.
okay, thank you.
There we go. Oh, oh, okay. That was a lot of talking. Are we done with this section? I have a lot, because you know what? I've got 3 bullet points out of all that. I got 3 bullet points.
So we've added the things that the city council asked for. The chair would entertain a motion to go ahead and approve the park grant program to present it back to city council to see if it meets their approval.
I'll
Oh.
motion.
Can I add one thing before we do,
Yeah.
Donna? If we could add into the application program that there is going to be a performance language.
It's
Is it in
there.
there? I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
let's-
All right, so under the guidelines, it makes it clear, by the way, that this has to be, the guidelines are that whatever's being requested has to follow the laws of section 505.152 of what EDCs can help with. And again, we have the sole discretion about whether we give them any money or not. They have to follow all the building code zoning requirements. And they have to provide improvements with project drawings, specifications. The funding has to be in the form of a reimbursement grant or as a grant where the money will be returned, clawed back if the funds are not used as required. And then, let me see where I have it.
And we're gonna be requesting that the city start driving it from this point forward, correct?
Yes, it's the city who drives it rather than us driving it, which I think is an incredibly important thing. And so there will be, it's not actually in here, but there is a separate performance contract that they have to sign.
Okay.
That we approved back in March. So the performance agreement is a legal contract that says, here's what you're going to do, and here's what we've agreed to. And we're able to put in there, and here's what you're going to do to maintain it.
Right. But should that not be mentioned in the requirements?
I don't think so, because the problem is we don't know, depending on what the project is, what we're going to require them to do. Let me
Sure,
give you an
sure.
example. They want to put in professional basketball goals and redo the basketball court. Absolutely love that. That's absolutely what we need. But if they ask for money for that, $5,000 from us to match what they're doing, then we're going to want to say, well, you're going to do this with the pickleball court, then the city has to agree to replace the nets every so many months or, every year. City has to agree to do X kind of painting on it. City has to agree. They're talking about having that pickleball net that goes across and having that for rent, that you come up to City Hall and you check that out to go down and install it. And the security cameras that are currently up right now at the bathrooms, we may require additional lighting to go onto that basketball court and for one of those security cameras to be turned to actually focus on that court so we see what's going on. So we don't know if that's what we want in the performance agreement for that versus, let's say they want to do something down where the boat ramp is. If they do something down there, we may say, well, here's what we want down there to make sure that's secure. We want to have some dredging so the boats are able to get in and out when we put them down there. We want to have the entrance cleared out where the parking lot. So each one of those is a different thing that has to be agreed on per the request.
Right. I fully agree that the performance agreement should be per project. What I'm saying is we move this paperwork forward to somebody that's no longer sitting in this room. How are they going to know that a performance agreement is required if it's not in the original application?
So
Does that make sense?
yeah. So what you'd like is on, because I
Just
can
under
add some
standards.
language under standards. I can add a bulletin point that says
They would be required
a
Correct.
to uphold the performance agreement.
separate performance agreement will be signed between the city of West Tawakoni and the West Tawakoni EDC that specifies what maintenance actions will occur to related to the project being funded. How's that wording sound?
That was perfect.
Okay,
Couldn't have done it better.
all right.
Wow.
So the chair would entertain a motion to accept the park grant program with the additional phrasing, a separate performance agreement will be signed between the city of West Tawakoni and West Tawakoni EDC that specifies what maintenance actions will occur related to the project being funded under Section 9 standards.
I'll make a motion to approve with the amendment the park program.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Perfect. All right. And then I will present that at the next city council meeting. And we'll see if they want additional revisions.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Yes. All right, number 10, discuss and or take action on the Keep West Tawakoni Beautiful, Welcome to West Tawakoni signage and associated property purchase. The update on that status is we've got the survey done for the land area, and that was paid for. And so the next is going to be for Lee to give us the actual legal contract to make the purchase. Yes. So there's no action that we need to take on that. All right, number 11, discuss and or take action regarding 1300 East State Highway 276 building and property. Mary, do we have a date set for the inspection to be able to get it insured?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. As soon as you get a date set, would you send me an email? Let me know the date and time so that we can be there and open the building and get that done. All right. So no action on that
Just a
item.
quick question. We're waiting for the insurance cost, so we know what our all-in cost is before we determine what the set rent rate is going to be on that building. Is that
Well,
a statement?
we need the building insured.
Sure.
So right now the building's not insured. So we can't rent it out to anybody if there's not insurance because the liability is way too
Sure.
high. So
That's the next step.
yeah, see Mary's head's down. She's looking at me. I'm cutting my eyes over at her.
Oh no, I was writing down, just adding it to my follow-up list.
Her list of to-dos.
Yeah, like
So
growing. Okay.
Once we have the building insured under the city's insurance, then we'll come back and we'll be able to make the next step of decisions about what we do. I mean,
Great.
I'm excited.
I
It's
am
finished. It's ready to go. Electricity is working. It's got to be insured. All right, number 12, discuss and or take action on participation in the Lake Tawakoni Chamber of Commerce fishing tournament. It's a fishing, what's the
Catfish Festival.
The Catfish Festival. All right, so Dina and the Chamber of Commerce are not here to present anything about that.
It will be at the city council meeting on the 13th.
All right, so they're coming to the city council meeting to talk about being able to use the park for the Catfish Festival.
What participation did we offer last year? Was it funding? Assistance funding?
$5,000.
5,000.
So what happened is, let's see where my notes are. So last year, the year before last, there was a catfish tournament festival in the park, and it was the Travers Festival. And it was budgeted for $5,000. So every year, the EDC has given $5,000 for the Travers Catfish
Jam Fest.
J-Fest.
Their big Jam Fest they have.
So in 2025, they made a decision to pull out of doing that and instead to do their own separate event, the 4th of July, which again worked out great. So the Chamber of Commerce, for the first time, decided to take over that Catfish Festival, and they held that in January or June of 2025. So the $5,000 had already been budgeted. The chamber had participated in that with the Travers Festival. So the EDC board went ahead and gave them the $5,000 for that event because it was budgeted for and had been previously approved by that EDC board. Then what happened was, since that time, I've had some concerns because at that particular festival, when I arrived that morning and set up the EDC booth, I learned that there was only one person originally signed up to do fishing. And then a second person signed up. My understanding is by the end of the day, there were 3 fishermen signed up. But the chamber had a rule that the only people who could sign up to participate in this catfish festival to fish had to be amateurs. So no fishing guides could participate, no professional fishermen, nobody who, basically kind of does that. And that originally caused me some concern because we were the only EDC that provided any funding for that. So we wrote a $5,000 check for this event, and Quinlan EDC didn't provide any funding. Lonoke EDC didn't provide any funding. And both the president of Lonoke EDC, Wes, and the president of Quinlan EDC, Debbie, are on the board for the Chamber of Commerce. And neither one of those 2 EDCs provided any funding. So I had approached all of them in October, and I told them that from my personal perspective, I really thought that this ought to be something that allowed anyone to participate in this fishing competition that wanted to participate. That if we're providing the predominant amount of the finances that are going to the winners, then what difference does it make if it's fishing guides, professional fishermen, people who are actually doing that out here? In fact, on our brochure, we advertise for all the fishing guide companies out here. And they're the ones who have people who come in out and fishing. They know the people who want to be able to fish. They're really a part of that, and that's the business. That's part of the economy of what happens out here. Our economy isn't coming from, me as a citizen of the city going out and fishing. There's no economic value to the city of West Tawakoni if Donna Milburn goes out on her boat and catches a catfish and wins. There's a benefit if the guide services are able to participate, if the professional fishermen can participate. Then you actually have business involvement. So that's why I put it down here on the agenda for us to talk about, because they were coming to City Council to talk about this. No one's here presenting or asking for this money. And so I don't know that we need to take any action, but I would love to hear what your opinions are as members of this board, whether or not we budgeted for it for this year. But what are your opinions about whether or not we're going to agree to give money for this Catfish Festival if businesses aren't allowed to participate?
I'll say I'm in the fishing business, and I was more involved in my fishing company at that time than I am now. I've reallocated my time to my other business, but at that point, I heard about it like one day before it was happening, and I think it was not well marketed to the fishing businesses. The fishing businesses are the ones that have the clientele and all the Facebook followers and everything else. So, not saying that it's right for the professionals to be able to equally compete. Maybe there's a pro-am where professionals are after one grab and amateurs are after another. I don't know if I'll let Smells work all that out, but I think going through your professional guide services is where you're going to find the people that want to come out and fish the lake. And you may have a lot better turnout chasing that avenue. I think the money, it's a steep first, split 2 ways. It's even excellent money. I've fished a lot of bass tournaments in the past, and you get a lot of people chasing $1,500. So $5,000, unless it's going towards other things, if it's just going to purse money, that's a pretty steep grab. So I don't know that that was valid or helpful input, but that's just my 2 cents. So.
Well, I need to hear that, because again, I'm not a fisherman. So if people are willing to go out and go for a $1,500 purse grab for first place, then that's important, to know.
Right, definitely.
I think
Definitely.
the bigger the prize money, yeah, you may get more interest, but I don't think it's necessary to have that much. I think the biggest goal would be to get the professional services involved in it, ask them to start promoting it, and to me, that's your avenue to the fishermen. I know James Evans, Whisker Fishing has a huge following on socials, probably up in the hundreds of thousands. Michael and Terry Littlejohn on the other side of the lake do as well. There's some groups here that just have massive followings. And I think if it's promoted, if you can get them on board with helping promote it and them fishing it, there's a chance to get a lot more people here to the lake than just putting sign. I don't know what avenues could be taken other than that to grab the fishermen.
Is that 5,000 going straight to purse money, or is that okay? I mean, I know they're doing other avenues of different things. I know they're doing. Last year they had some carnival rides and different little festival activities. I wasn't sure if that was going straight to that or not.
Yeah, it was fun. We set up gateway rod and reels. I mean, there was a lot of participation in the park. There just wasn't any participation on the water.
I got you.
And the people who set up booths, now the EDC had a free booth for $5,000. We'll call that free. So you had fun and iced tea, you had different booths out there. And, what was kind of presented to me is that they were all nonprofits. That's not accurate because I know a couple of people who are, close to my heart who had their booths out there, and those are businesses, so they were making money. So it's not an all nonprofit event. And, I guess where we're at right now is really no action is called for today. But I appreciate that we've had a chance to get a little bit of input and for you guys to kind of know what I'm thinking at this point. And I'm also thinking October, November, December. So we've had 3 months now where, the Chamber of Commerce, if they want to come to us for the money, we want to help, but they've had 3 months. They have some due diligence, I think, that they also have to do. Or, they can hold it without our financing.
Now, I mentioned too, we have trout line and fishing store in town that have a huge customer base that get all the right people on board promoting it, it can turn into a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not promoted well, then to me, it's a lot of money we're not getting the attention to the lake, to our community that we need for the money that's being spent on it.
And when we're talking about $5,000, in terms of the marketing aspect, it's not really marketing the EDC or the city itself when we're doing that. If it's not going to the businesses, if it's not going to develop anything economically out here, then it really isn't something that I think the EDC is supposed to be funding.
I think the only maybe loophole would be we're getting new people into our community to see our community, right? Whether they're coming from outside of here fishing or whatever it is, they're bringing their kids to the park. I guess that would be.
We go to the restaurants, the gas stations,
yeah.
Those other things, but I would worry that 5,000 to get a little bit of boost here and there. I don't know that that's all makes sense.
Well, if it's just amateurs who are allowed to fish and everybody else is prohibited, then that also means that basically you're getting people who live here fishing to try and get the money. And that's not tourists. It's not bringing in, the key thing for EDC is you're supposed to be bringing in money from outside your city into your city. And if the way the chamber is going to do it doesn't do that, then all you're doing is really giving somebody in your city already tax dollars that not economic growth. All right. Well,
real quickly, what would be the next steps for the park program? Go back for my notes. What are we waiting on for next steps? What would be the next thing?
It's going to be presented to council.
I'll present it to council at the next meeting.
Okay. And the next steps, I know we're not taking any actions on this, but what would be the next steps for this fishing tournament?
Just put no action and chamber needs to approach us
Okay.
for requests for the money. Again, it's kind of one of
Is
those,
the Chamber of Commerce putting it on?
yes.
They're actually, I'm gonna talk with them.
Yeah, talk with Dina.
I'm gonna talk with them and find out where their head is and, let you know what the hell. I didn't know that they were doing that. I thought we were, with the 5,000, I thought we were doing it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Larry,
I'm way off.
if you talk with her and she would like my help with some promoting ideas, I'd be happy to have a conversation. So it's,
Oh, great. Write down your name and number
gotcha.
so I can give it, if you don't mind.
Got you covered.
That would help.
But, you know, again, I want to say that this kind of goes into the same category as kind of what we were doing with the park, which is, I think, it's the city's park, so the city needs to come to us. This is the Chamber's Catfish Tournament Festival. The chamber needs to come to us if they want any funding. We don't need to be stepping over ourselves trying to give money
Yeah,
away.
I agree.
We got plenty of things that we need to use that money for, so. All right, so no action on number 12. All right, number 13, discuss and or take action on selecting the next board member to take minutes for February's meeting.
Yay.
Do we have any volunteers?
I will.
All right.
Sorry, I was trying to clear my throat. So
We'll just keep going around.
I know what time's coming.
All right. Donna makes a motion to accept Mary as the next.
Really? I gotta do all that?
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
I
All right.
know.
Future agenda items. Does anyone have anything that they really want to see on the next agenda that they know about today?
The only thing, have you talked with anybody about being a secretary to our board?
Yes, what we voted on last time was to not hire a secretary and instead for us to just rotate taking the minutes. That saves the EDC
That's why I'm
$100 a
interrupting.
month and to kind of see how that works.
That's not gonna be near
Okay.
as good as
To add to that, do we want to look at reallocating the leftover secretary money into whether we do it as projects or do a potential budget amendment for the rest of the fiscal year if we're going to wait?
My suggestion would be that that'll be one of those future agenda items that we give it a couple of months and then decide if we ought to go ahead and hire someone before we change that budget.
Fair enough.
I think something to discuss in the future would be some type of business outreach from us. You're doing a great job of going to the business of the month and meeting the business owners individually. There's a lot of businesses here in West Tawakoni that may not know what we are, what we do. And I think that the quicker we can get to them, instead of going through the A to Z program, the quicker that we'll see if there's anything we can do to help them.
Was that something we would do separate from the chamber or?
Yeah. So, but that may be a future agenda item that we can put on there. And then everyone here, I say it every month. I mean it. That's why I keep saying it. Anything during the course of the month where you think, I'd like to see this on the agenda. I'd like to see the EDC do this. Here's an issue. Anything, email me. I will put it on the agenda.
I'll give a quick example. So I've stopped into, I talked with the guy that owns Fishing Store, Brandon, quite often. And I was driving by the other day and I saw him doing a complete freshening up of the outside of the building and new paint job, just really doing some nice work over there. And I called him. I said, hey, man, we have a grant program for that, right? He's like, what do you mean? So just those little things that I don't think businesses in the community understand fully what we can do. And if they don't fully understand it, the more we're in front of them talking about their business, talking about our business, and just how we can help each other.
I agree. However, I'm now going to take this opportunity to say, I've been in there and I've talked with him
Oh, I know you have.
twice and with his staff, and he has struggled to understand what I've talked to him about. We are advertising for free for him. He's on our city brochures. I gave them to him, and we purchased for him a holder for those brochures, and he discarded them. So there are no city brochures in there. I stopped by today at 12:30 to touch base with him to let him know that we were going to be talking about this Catfish Festival and to get his insight and input about what he might like to see happen in terms of what the chamber could do, so I could share some of those. And he had a sign on this door that he was out. So, we can only do so much to try and let people know.
Sure.
And the chamber, I believe, is going to have that entrepreneurial showcase in February, even though they haven't come back to us to ask for anything from that. And I've talked to him about that too and explained to him how to set up the booths to be able to promote. If they do this at Quinlan High School, at Ford High School, that is a great opportunity, and he can sign up people right there at the table to come use his fishing guide service. And I even suggested to him that he take some of the really cool, like fish and animal heads, hunting heads and stuff, and kind of decorate his booth. And his response to me was, I don't know how to do that. That's, I guess, what my wife would do. And I said, this is free business for you. And if your wife does that, here's my email address. Just have her email me. I'll help her with this. I'll help you set up the booth. And I've never heard anything from them. So sometimes you have businesses out there that we can bend over backwards doing everything we can to communicate with them. But somehow that communication, there's a disconnect. So anything you can do with him to help encourage him. And if you and Amanda can maybe go in with him, maybe the two of you set up an entrepreneur showcase and you both can sign out people there. That would be awesome.
So, I don't want to turn this into a longer conversation, but before I joined this, I went to a few of the local businesses that I know in the community, just the owners of it. And before anybody that's in this room was on this board, there was a negative stigma about the EDC. And some of the business owners have that in their mind. So until you can meet them, let them know who we are, what we represent, let the past be the past. This is, who we are and where we're going. There's a little bit of work to do out there. And I think that boots on the ground is really the only way to achieve that. So just, and yes, you're going to have some that will get on board with it, and you're going to have some that won't. And that's just the nature of it. But the more that we can get in front of people and let them know what we're about, I think the better off we're going to be as far as helping our local business.
All right. So again, anything I want on future agenda items, send it to me. Email them, because I'll put them on. All right. Anything else?
I think Red's done writing, so.
I am.
All right. So Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn at
6:35.
6:35.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
all in favor?
All right.
All right.
All right, we are done.
Excellent meeting. Excellent meeting. I'd be willing to, I mean, I'd love to